product and services, who their clients are. Most of the cases, I want the customers to somewhat like me, so I can understand the products myself and why I buy it, why clients like me would buy it, so I can keep some consumer behavior in me, so I can sort of see why such a business is a good business. And the second one is I want the manager who's running the business for us. And most of the companies are publicly traded, and we don't have any say as a minority owner. So I want the owner to be a majority owner in large cases, and I want them to represent my interests. So I'm looking for two important qualities: trustworthiness in the manager and some sort of an excellent talent. And these companies are very good in long run. They have a long track record. So you can basically go find out if they've acted in your behalf or minority investors' behalf, both in terms of intelligence as well as integrity. So one without the other is no use. You can come up with lots of examples in your life. If the person doesn't have integrity, you want them dumb and lazy. You don't want them smart and energetic, especially if they're managing their money. And the other way is true too. If they are intelligent, you want them to be full right of integrity. And the third important criteria, just because the business is so good or the products are so good and the management is so good that you admire them, doesn't mean you can almost buy at any price. The price has to make sense relative to somewhat of the business's current and future potential in nature. I'm sure almost everybody can come across a situation where you can say, I like the business, but the price is so expensive. Majority of the time I think about that. Like 99 out of 100 business that I look at, majority of the time that I don't come up with that number of saying, oh, this is attractive enough of a valuation for me to buy it. So you have to get all three factors in sync, at least in my view. That's what I'm looking for. If you want to make money, at least in my way, those are the three criteria. And a lot of you know Carl Jacobi, a famous physician mathematician. And he says invert, always invert. It's a philosophy. If you think about it, if you want to lose money, you invert all those philosophies that I set forth, you get a candidate. If you want to lose money, you have to invest in a business that you don't understand, that you don't know the prospect of the business, and you want the management to be crooked and unintelligent, then you should just pay any price. And you have a candidate as a winner to lose your money. So that is sync with the philosophy that I set forth. And enough about the philosophy, I guess, and some of you probably say, okay, get to the meat of it. Yeah, and I'll probably show you a few businesses that we invested. And some of you probably know already. I probably shared my letters to you, and I probably talked to you. But still, a gist of what these businesses are. First one is a company called Americal. But just by looking at the name of the company, if you did not know this before, you probably don't know this. This is a company corporate behind what the product called U-Haul. So U-Haul is the largest self-trailer and trucking business. They sell it to you for rental. And by some estimates, they are something like 50% of the market share they have in US and Canada. So can anybody tell me who's the competition for U-Haul? Anybody?
Riders. They're the only ones.
Yeah, Ryder essentially deals with the business customer. They don't really deal with a consumer like you and me. And there are few players, but there are very, very, very small market share, and they don't even look at the number of trucks and trailers that they have in location. They have something like 1,500 locations themselves. They run it. They have 22,000 points they sell it through. For example, if you own a gas station, right? You go to the gas station, they have a U-Haul brand. They don't own the U-Haul. They only facilitate a transaction for U-Haul. So like them, they have 22,000 sales points. So if you own a gas station, right, you have a location, you have a gas, and you don't have a lot going on. But I'm going to come to you as a U-Haul member. I'm going to say, look, you don't have a lot going on. I have a truck. If you can facilitate the transaction, you get 20% of it. Usually these people say yes, and it does two things for me, right, as a businessman or an owner. It gives me the fleet. It's not utilized all the time. So the fleet utilization is better for me all the time. And you get to make money, and you're going to refer me all the time. You're going to bring in new leads, new leads. So it's a win-win operation. So compare this with almost anybody. If you want to move, how many people have moved in the last 10 years by yourself? And what kind of trust have you used? Anybody like a self-mover or somebody else who gave the job?
U-Haul and U-Haul.
Yeah. So it's without a doubt, majority of the time you probably end up using U-Haul for two reasons. You're going to use it based on price and convenience.
Yes.
You want the truck to be available closer, you can drop it off closer somewhere. And you want the price to be cheaper. Nobody would say, you know what, I want to pay higher, I want the location to be so far out in the wind that I can just drop it off. No one's going to do that, right? Yes.
I want to ask something. Whenever you drive anywhere, you see a down the road.
Yeah, because they have so many trucks.
Yeah.
And people are always moving, especially in the summer you can see that's
Yeah.
the season
Everywhere.
for a heavy season to move, and you will see them everywhere. So enough about the product and services, they're available everywhere, but they have this other product very few people know. They own the third largest self-storage location in America. So they have right now developed a portfolio of 38 million square feet, and they have 12 million square feet on the development right now.
Because the people will take in U-Haul and where they will keep.
It fits in very well with their own agenda. They usually have a location, they want to utilize the location better. So now they built up this storage location, you can come and store your stuff. Now, given that cities are getting dense and dense, people live smaller and smaller, but their nature to acquire stuff a lot more is not going away. So what they do is they cannot store in the DC home, and they would go put it in the nearest storage location that they can find. It's one of the very, very economical model, business model that I've ever seen. Once you build it up, it takes about 4 years to occupy something like 80% of the occupancy. At that time, the company makes 20% return on capital. It's unheard of in the real estate. It's very good, but these guys are always developing faster than the demand comes in. So it takes about 4 or 5 years to capture the demand. So they're always running ahead with the supply. So you will see today if they're spending the money, you will see the return in 4 years from now. A lot of people don't see that as a good investment, but after 4 years we just make money. So management has a large skin in the game. They own 40% of it, and employees themselves own 6% of the company. So they essentially control the company. So I want the management and employees within sync with me as an owner. I don't want them to just run the company until they go spend the money, invest elsewhere. I want them to invest so that if anything goes wrong, they would be the one feeling the burn also. I don't want them to hire guns to run, go away, and retire rich. You know, you're still holding the bag to a large extent. So those are the three things that I'm looking for, and then they have a couple of unknown businesses to a large extent. If you rent a truck from them, they'll usually ask, do you want insurance with it? So they run their own insurance. They don't outsource it to anybody. They have a large operation, they do it. And then they have a smaller life insurance type business in America, which actually they make $30 billion a year. And that business alone can be worth like $500 million. And all of these things, you're all done some business deals, a business major at some point. If you can put them together, you would come across a valuation of some crazy number. Today, because the company is controlled and they don't care about, they don't talk to investors every day in the large companies, and the company is not valued appropriately. In some ways, they made the investment today, the returns won't appear in 3 years from now. So people are not willing to look that far to see whether I will get a return or not. So the company is trading for $7 to $7.5 billion. Relative to that $7.5 billion does not even get you that self-storage business. They're building 50 million square feet. And you're pretty much getting the other businesses for almost free. But eventually this value is going to get realized in the stock market. As a stockholder, we would prosper. So this is a general gist, I'm going to maybe rush through the other ones, but generally that's what I'm looking for.
So your time horizon on this one is 3 years?
Time horizon is pretty much my time horizon is forever. But I will see the feedback loop in 3 years or so. So you could argue, right? Today, Gopi, you said they're spending $12 million square footage portfolio. They're spending a couple of $1 billion. Where the money is going to come? I want to be able to tell where the money is going to come. Year, 2, 3 years. You can see it. That's a feedback mechanism for me. Stock price is not a mechanism for me to tell whether I'm right or not. The business development underneath is going. I'm a business analyst to begin with. If I'm right on the business, I'm going to be very right on the stock price, because the stock price is eventually going to follow the business development over time. And you can see all the successful businesses, all the big businesses that you probably own stakes in, Deutsche, Hathaway, or Visa, MasterCard, Microsoft. The business does well, stock price will follow. Some cases they overshoot on the prices or undershoot, but over a long period they essentially follow the stock price.
So I have a question.
Yes.
What happens when the fundamental changes over the time?
Then
Because
we-
today it looks really promising.
Yeah, you would see that's a feedback mechanism, right? So one would see like why it's changing. Is it because somebody else shows up? Or it's a competition.
Sure.
Competition eating their lunch, right?
Mhm.
Or it could be that like management making dumb decisions.
Sure.
So when you see it across the city, and then you would be able to evaluate whether your thesis still holds true, whether it's still attractive enough
So
for
you
you.
will be that person
Of course,
who will
I'm,
do it. Okay.
I am going to be the judge of that business because you're putting your trust on me. It's my complete intention. My entire net worth is invested right alongside with my clients. So it's my job to make sure the business is progressing in the similar direction I expect. But there are lots of cases, like in some cases, year 2, 3 from now, I realize that the business is not what I thought it would develop into. And then I have to reassess the situation, whether I still want to be a partner in that company. But yeah, we won't know it like tomorrow. We would know it like as soon as they release their results like four times a year. So I have a lot of job going through that time. So I will monitor how they develop the business. And along the way, either I will be proven right or I will be proven wrong. In that way, I would have to evaluate like whether I want to hold on to a long-term goal.
My impression is this company dominant
Yeah.
in this self-moving space. So they have economy of scale. So it's very difficult for someone else to build a better business to compete.
Well, think about it. I'll give you $10 billion today, any of you, right? If you have $10 billion, you want to go shake up this business, you just cannot do it. Just cannot do it. Can you go and buy this many trucks and this many locations, and then can you make $1 billion here? Just cannot do it. You may be able to do it in 10 years, 15 years, but in 10 years, they won't be sitting here. They will be building more networks, more locations, more of this.
Very international also.
Yeah, so they have a lot. Otherwise, in 10 years, they would be distributing $10 billion to us as the owner if they don't reinvest it for you. So today, you're paying $7 billion. They would easily pay you $10 billion.
And why is the market for self-storage going to continue to expand?
It doesn't have to. It's not a uniform market. Like if you go to a location like Houston or somewhere, they have oversupply versus a demand. But if you go like in a location like a DC, it's undersupply. If you go a location like New York, it's undersupply. So there are pockets of opportunity still out there. In large cases, they own the land and they develop it when they see the opportunity themselves. And they don't go out and buy this.
But is the actual self-storage market growing?
It is growing right now, yes,
What's
but not
propelling-
as they used to be.
What's propelling that growth? Why does it slow down?
This is a new demographic shows up all the time. New demographic shows up all the time. The population grows in one direction. In some areas, it used to be that it's very sparse. Now it's dense and a lot more like cities. Most of the cities today, right? That's where the growth is because the millennials or whoever, so they're moving in and they don't have the same space as they used to have when they lived with their parents or some suburb. Now they have a smaller, but they have to put the stuff somewhere. And this is by far the cheapest on a storage basis, cheapest per square feet you can pay. $17 a square feet for a year. Yes,
Was there a thesis that the real estate itself is being undervalued?
very much so. They can only make this kind of money at this kind of valuation because they are not carrying the real estate at appropriate value. Some of the real estates are bought in 1970s and 80s. So a lot of people argue that the real estate alone can be worth more than $10, $15 billion. But we won't know until they sell the property. But I am not basing my case based on they would sell the property, I would monetize it, because those properties are absolutely necessary to generate those profits. You cannot have it both ways. Either you have the asset and operate it and get the profit, or you sell it and you get the profit. So that's a downside protection case in some ways. If the business goes into trouble or something, they can monetize one asset effectively, yes.
So let me just make a
Yeah.
comment. There's a company called Public Storage.
Yes.
In the same business.
Right, they are the largest one actually.
Okay, right. And if you go look at their business model, what they say in their annual report is that they put these buildings
Yeah.
on land
Yeah.
where eventually they want to sell the land.
Possible
So because they're cheap buildings, they're not expensive.
to build.
So their business model is that in the very long run, they view themselves as a real estate
Plan.
company,
Yeah.
where what they're doing is they're gathering money to keep the company going for now using the business, but eventually they're going to sell the land
Well,
and make a big
you
pile
can only make
of money.
profits in two ways, as I mentioned. Either you operate it and get the profit, or you sell it out and then you get the money. You know? It keeps going. You know, you have to keep. I would probably better off. I'd be more comfortable if they operated it and can make the money rather than selling it. Because if I sold the property, let's say, right, I have the money now. I need to go find somewhere else. The reinvestment risk, which is humongous, much more difficult than people think. So that game is a more difficult game to play, rather than you own certain things and then you lease it forever. You rent it to people forever. I like that business better. Right? Yeah. So yeah, the first business is somewhat you have familiarity with, and this business I almost challenge you. Almost nobody has seen it before. This is a business in Mexico. This is the largest chicken producer in Mexico. So to give you an idea, if you're going to a grocery store or buying a chicken somewhere, 1 in 3 chances you're buying the chicken from them. That is the size and scale that I'm talking about. So they produce eggs from all the way to like ready-to-eat chicken meals at the supermarket that you can buy and microwave it and eat it. So they are the most integrated chicken producer in the world to a large extent. This apparently happened to be in Mexico. This company is controlled by 70% ownership by the local businessman. Only 20% of stocks are available in public. Well, he happened to be one of those owners. And the business is incredible. This is run in a so conservative manner. I've never seen a company this large ran as a very conservative business. To give you an idea, they never had any financial debt almost in their entire history. Today they have $800 million in cash and they don't have any debt. And the total company is selling for $2.6 billion. And the company continuously generates more than $200 million a year. And you can say, the second largest guy is like 7 times smaller than them. So they don't make any money. So they are very cutthroat business. They operate a very, very low margin compared to anybody, but it's still rate of profit. Because the company's been in existence for 65 years. And it takes a long time and effort to build such a business. From a grower, contract grower, chicken grower, to a harvester, to a processor, and then selling them to like an industrial live chicken, to all the way to industrialized like a chicken product. It takes a long time and commitment to do it, and even with a large amount of capital, you can't do it today. Yes.
So is the way that they grow the chicken the same way like Sanderson or Pilgrim Fire does it here, where they contract out the growers?
Some of it, yeah. Some of it they contract with contract growers. Some of it they have the huge farms and they grow it themselves.
What about the whole movement towards plant-based foods,
Yeah.
vegan, and all that stuff?
That's happening, but it's only happening in the developed world where you see it. If you go to Mexico, it's by far the largest chicken consumption in the planet today. Mexican people, I don't know if you know anybody. Mexican people are because of 2 reasons. They're very, very economical. Like $1 per pound on protein, that is by far the best source of protein. Lowest dollar amount you can get the chicken. You cannot get chicken or a protein supply for $1 as equal to chicken in almost anywhere else. Fish is any other animal protein is expensive, and you can talk about any other non-animal protein is way, way more expensive. People do it for a variety of other reasons other than that pound per protein supply.
Question.
Yes.
So this is based in Mexico, right? So because
Basically, yeah, this is Mexico, yes.
because cheap labor in Mexico.
Right.
And
But they don't sell it to America. They don't make chicken in Mexico. They sell it to America. They don't.
So they don't
It's a
sell
local.
US.
It's a local product. And they have 35% of the businesses in America. They make chicken here. They sell it to.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I saw if you make in Mexico, you sell in the US, then all of the chicken farm in the US will get killed.
No.
Because you cannot
The problem
control
is
this stuff.
you cannot do it that way on a timely basis. Because if you want a live chicken, You cannot make a chicken in Mexico and sell it here. It's like, it's gonna be like, 42 days later, that chicken needs to be sold.
Okay.
So that's the life cycle of that chicken. We're talking about 6 weeks or so. So if anybody wants, well, Mexico is by far the largest chicken consumer, I said. They are also the largest live chicken consumer. They don't buy the chicken like 2 days, 3 days later in a supermarket. They usually buy it like live to a large extent. They will kill it, they will make it themselves. Same in like in an Indian, like in a rural market that you would see. And US is more of a processed chicken market rather than a live chicken. When was the last time you bought live chicken, anybody?
3 years ago, I did it once. I never want to do it again. So much work. So much work.
So the point is like it's very hard to make a chicken.
It's not worth
Yeah.
Even if you give me free, I wouldn't do it.
But you didn't grow up in that culture probably. If you go to the rural markets of India and Mexico, they don't know any other way. That's the only way they know. That's the only way they like it. I'm sure some of you are vegetarians who probably make it or something, but that's how they do it. And this is one of the dominant businesses, and you can't find such a business in India or here, but we go wherever the opportunity is. And a smaller investment manager, it's a great advantage to take opportunities like this. Any other questions? We can go to the next idea. Okay, now we're going to all Mexico now, right?
We love Mexico.
So this is also another Mexican company. This is a replica of if you put Comcast and DirecTV together. This is the best business. So basically they are a whole spectrum of entertainment media distribution, all the way from making to distributing through your cable or broadband network to your home. And they also own one of the largest US-based Latin American channel producers, called Univision. They control that entity too. That's a privately controlled. So this business is so amazing business. I probably followed this business for 10 years before I made the first investment. First time I made the investment, yeah.
How they got that symbol TV?
And they got it in a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm
Televisa.
sure.
Because it's
You will get
Televisa.
that, yeah.
The business is called commonly known as Televisa. And this business is traced both Mexico and in US. The US ticker symbol is TV.
No, I got it, but still, getting that, it should be many, many years ago.
Yeah. The business is very long and it's controlled and managed by a family in Mexico.
They must be an older company.
Very old company. They started as a publishing company like 1952 maybe, and then they evolved into movie production, and then they evolved into cable TV channels, and then broadcasting, news media, and then their content generation, and then they realized like satellite TV, and then they realized like broadband penetration. They are in the whole spectrum still today. The publishing business still exists as a minority owner today because publishing doesn't make a lot of money. And the TV and the movie distribution still there. They distribute in like 95 different countries.
How about internet?
The broadband internet, they have broadband. They are the second largest broadband internet company in Mexico. And they are the largest content generator, largest TV distributor, and
But
second
then,
largest broadband.
Besides the Mexico, how about Latin America? Or
Most of them are in like in a majority of the revenues and cash flows coming from Mexico. But there are some operations, like I said, in the US, they have a small ownership, and then they distribute like movies and certain things in different countries. They distribute like Latin content to 85, 90 countries across the globe. So basically their content, they generate it and they distribute it to like everybody. They own the content. And there's maybe a doubt people would ask, like, people's perception of watching TV goes down and down and down. How are they going to sustain it? Because that's one of their business, right? If you don't watch TV, what are you gonna watch? What are you going to watch? YouTube or any other streamlined channels, right? Like if you like sports, you're gonna stream the sports. That's gonna come through a broadband. You're still gonna consume some content. So they are a content producer as well as a distributor. Maybe the channel may differ how you're going to consume the content, but maybe from TV to a laptop to an iPad, right? The way you consume different, but they're going to be the producer and distributor one way or another. And they have a large penetration, and the internet penetration is very low in Mexico, only like 50% penetration in Mexico. So they have a long way to reinvest the profits, and they'll eventually be the largest broadband penetrator in Mexico.
How much debt do they have?
They have about $3 billion in net debt, which
US dollarized?
so some of them are US dollars, some of them are Mexican pesos. The assets are coordinated with that. Univision type investments are coordinated with the US dollar debt, and cable TV investments and other investments are denominated in Mexican assets and Mexican debt.
So the leverage is pretty good. It's not bad because the equity is around $60
No,
million.
they make about $1.5 billion in cash flows, and they only have like $3 billion in debt, which they can take on a lot of debt, but I don't want them to.
And it's also utility business model because you can afford to have a higher capacity to have more debt.
Interestingly, today they make money in 3 divisions, right? The content generation and TV distribution and broadband. But they don't have a reinvestment opportunity in either content or distribution. They make a large investment in broadband because that's where the opportunity, that's where people are going to be wanting their services, which I completely endorse, and I completely endorse having a low leverage. Because if they have a large leverage, I wouldn't be a owner to talk about it. I want a conservative balance sheet to run the company in almost in any circumstance they're going to thrive.
What's the sum of the parts?
Some of the parts you can almost, if you value it independently, you can value each of the individual divisions as a market cap itself. So I would say like an approximately 3 times as much as what the market is valuing today. But again, you would only see it over time, whether I'm right or not. And as long as the company makes money, reinvest the profits, there is absolutely no chance I cannot go wrong. But if they don't make money, then that's a whole different story. Maybe my analysis is wrong, maybe some other competitor came into it and all of that. But today's situation continue. In my view, it's going to continue over time. If that continues, there is no way the company is going to be trading for higher.
Are there a lot of synergies between the broadband and the content?
Not a lot, but they're going to need it. If they distribute the content through cable now, and if the customer wants it through a broadband, they cut the cable, which is a phenomenon here. People cut the cable here, right? They don't have cable service anymore, they only have broadband. But because a large broadband penetration allows here, in Mexico, like I said, they only have 50% penetration. Even people want it, they cannot get it, right? The speed is not there, the infrastructure is not there. They have a large population without broadband internet. And when they get there, they will distribute the content through a broadband rather than a cable channel. Yes?
How is the Mexican currency versus US currency in the world impact?
It's been bad. It's been bad at least for the last year and a half because of the new president comes here and the Mexican tariffs and all of that. Which across any currency, US currency has been better in the last 5 years or so. You go anywhere, be to Greece, be to India, be to China, anywhere you go, American currency is stronger than ever before. So that's not a knock on Mexico. US currency is very preferred and people are pushing up the currency value. In some cases, the policy makers' decision involves that currency prices. But over time, if the business is so good, the currency is not going to make any impact on it over time. So my bet is, regardless of how the currency is going to perform, the company is going to perform as the owner, we're going to thrive.
Are they paying down that debt?
They don't have to. They can if they want to, but they don't have to. Because the debts are very long-term in nature. Some of them are like 10, 15 years out. And they pay the interest, and whenever the debt comes to maturity, they can pay it. But such a business like this, they can hold 2 or 3 times as much as debt as today. But they are conservatively run, which is the way I like it.
So why not invest into so Telmex is the biggest investor,
Right.
And are they publicly traded?
They are.
So why
They're called
not?
America Mobile.
So what's the reason for investing in this over
Me?
Telmex?
Because it's much more common in business in the topics that I talk about. The content development, right? Telmex, for instance, they don't have anything. They're a monopoly to a large extent. They don't have a competition to speak of. So Telmex has been applying for content generation for years and years, and they can't get it. They can't get it, they can't get the scale. Telmex has been so good when the telephony connection is landline, because they had all the infrastructure of local landline copper lines. They've been so good. And then when they changed from landline to mobile, they were still good. But now they are left with a stable old copper cable, which they still distribute like a broadband. The speed.
It has to be slide.
Sorry.
See, it has to.
That's why I put it back.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're gonna correct it.
Because this is both side sliding.
Yeah.
Just put it on the top.
It's still not there.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Yeah, see? Now you go.
Thank you.
That's fine. Thank
It
you.
was like AT&T and Comcast.
Right, so AT&T is left with like all the old copper cables and nobody wants them because the speed is very low. And if they have to replenish all of it, they have to spend billions of dollars. And they're still not sure they can get the customers if they even do it. Exact comparison between Comcast versus AT&T.
Yeah, but Telmex also doesn't have broadband.
That's the same reason because they're left with the old cable networks and they
So
don't.
what are they gonna do with content anyway?
The problem with them is twofold. One is a wireless infrastructure requires constant capital expenses, right? If you need to be a thriving owner, you need to 3G to 4G to 5G, you need to keep spending money. And you only have few ways you can get the money to spend it. So they are dominant mobile operator, they don't have money or willingness to spend it on broadband. But these guys, they already have broadband and they can spend it on
But these
broadband.
guys don't have,
Telephony. No, they don't have a telephony, they don't have mobile. Mobile is such a poor business.
That's
I don't know many people agree with it.
The secret to 5G is actually, it has to be a broadband.
Yes, secret to 5G now they're saying 5G is gonna go.
The network.
Without the fiber network, without the towers, and they still cannot get
Well,
the
the towers
5G.
have to be connected. with-
Towers still have to be connected to the fiber network underneath and still they're gonna be, this is like a once in a lifetime infrastructure type play. Once people have like large fiber networks, it's very hard to replace them.
'Cause people-
Unless the technology.
People here are worried that 5G is gonna go over the top, and that you won't need a cable connection. That's not true. You need a cable connection. Maybe you don't to the house, but Comcast is still gonna charge for whoever. Whoever.
Let's keep this open.
Like, let's say it's AT&T, and they just want to do 5G. AT&T can't do that without broadband.
Yeah, I
There's so
know.
much data.
Yeah, let's keep it open. Let's keep.
Well, whoever has the thickest pipe,
Yeah, whoever has the large pipe, which is a
Let's
fiber
keep it
network
open.
underneath, they're going to win.
they get a toll, no matter what.
It's like a toll booth, like, you wanna use
Let's
my
keep it open.
toll, you have to pay certain fees for
don't
it.
have-
in that case, these guys will.
If that becomes the case like in US, like in the next few years, it may happen in 5-10 years from now. If that is the case, they have a clear way of seeing it and taking advantage of that situation. And the important thing is like laying the fiber today and having it available when the situation becomes that drastic, they would be the guy to get the market face back. And the company is very, very cheap. It's funny because first time I looked at the business, I said 10 years ago, because Bill Gates' company called Cascade Investments, they used to own the stock, they still do. And that's how actually I came across this company 10 years ago. 10 years ago I looked at them and then I've been studying them for so long. And two reasons it didn't click. The broadband wasn't a big business then, and the price wasn't this lower then.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually, it favored in so wonderful way to me at least. The broadband business became so good and the price became so cheap. I don't know how long it's gonna be cheap or it doesn't even get any cheaper, but
So
it doesn't matter.
it doesn't, suppose in US there is a probability of recession in near future. Do you think this will impact because they don't have anything to
I'll ask
do?
you one question. If US is gonna be in recession, let's say next year, are you gonna cut your broadband?
No.
Okay, settles it.
Oh yeah.
It settles it. Yeah, they have a large penetration still ahead, and
Sure.
the speed is still lower than US, and the price is like 1/10 of what you're charged. It's like a $5. You broadband internet in Mexico,
Wow.
$5 today monthly. So you probably charge $50-$60 today. So
More.
they have a large way of both increasing the prices of the monthly subscription as well as the large customer they are ready to be lined up in the next few years. So I don't see a way I can get taken away in this kind of business. But again, you will be the judge over time. You can judge yourself whether the business does well or the stock does well. But that would be my job as well.
You have a question, Nilo? Okay.
Okay, so this is a company. Maybe not a lot of people are aware of it, or some people may have a negative opinion about it. This is a business called Biglari Holdings. This is a controlled and operated by a CEO called Sardar Buglari. He's a born Iranian and he's American now. He moved to US when he was 5 years old with his parents, and he's a serial entrepreneur. Even when he was 17 years old, he started an IT business and then he sold a few years later for a few $1 million. And then he went to a business school and then he started investment partnership. He brought his dean of the business school to be his partner, and then they started taking over businesses. This was in the last 15 years of track record. And then he started taking over certain businesses which were, let's say, not operated well. And then they start doing the same thing over and over, getting bigger and bigger, going after bigger and bigger companies. And long story short, today they control lots of assets, different publicly traded companies, certain private assets. That's not anything of a focus. The focus here is the CEO himself and the price of the company today in the market. If I eliminated all of this, if I gave you all the assets, and if you go ahead and redo the research and put a number to each of the assets, the company is going to be worth 5 times as much as today. It's just a math. Why is this cheap, people would ask. If you think the asset's worth 5 times, why is this cheap? Why I am the genius to figure that out. There are 2 issues potential. One controversy is people assume that, or people argue that this guy is going to end up with all the value. The CEO itself is going to end up with all the value. The minority owners are not going to get the proportional value. That's why it's so cheap. And second one is one of the businesses that they used to operate well, it's not making as much as profit as they used to. So those are the 2 reasons the stock will be cheaper. But 2 things may eventually happen. One, the business underperforms or whatever today, it may get shut down over time. That's never going to be profitable. Or they would become profitable and that would add to the profits. So we will see that in a year or 2 whether that underperforming business will come back alive profitably, or it gets shut down and the company doesn't lose any money anymore. The remaining assets will throw off a lot of cash and the manager, a CEO, would reallocate the cash into different opportunities.
What is that? Yeah, what is the company?
Its company is a holding company, so basically it's an investment holding company. They own restaurant assets. One of the assets that I said they're losing money in, it's called Steak and Shake, a burger chain.
Yeah.
They run about 420 restaurants in the US.
So that's one that they not only hold in ownership, but they actually operate.
They 100%, they own 100% and they run it, yes. And they also passively own stakes in Cracker and Barrel, which is one of the largest restaurant groups. And they used to own it close to 20%. Now they've sold down because the price of that company has gone up and they've been sold down and they're making reinvestments elsewhere. And that's an opportunity for them. Either they can
What
hold
do they
it.
reinvest the money in?
Say again?
What do they reinvest the money in?
They have been reinvesting in few things. One is the losing operations. And they recently bought an oil field master limited partnership type structure for $50 million. They just closed the deal maybe a few weeks ago. 50.
So this one,
Because the oil prices relative to the cash flow it produces is cheap. And incidentally, Buffett bought the largest oil investment in decades just a few months ago.
so this will be a totally bet on somebody, like you mentioned in the first that there is an intelligence part.
Yes.
So this will be one of that example, like even if the person has ability to do many things same time, but as an investor,
Integrity, yeah.
We
Integrity is not there. If the integrity is not there, if majority of the people are right, I'm going to be a loser.
sure.
But some of you actually have attended the annual meetings of this company. A few of actually, maybe 4 people that I can think here. So we attend annual meetings. We host an annual meeting. We attend annual meetings every year, and he actually has a 5.5 hours meeting, predominantly answering your own questions, nothing else.
Wow.
So this is the only opportunity. He said this is the only opportunity you get in a year. I have 6 hours for you. You can shoot any questions you want, because this is
Where are
the
they
duty.
located?
Huh?
Where are they located?
They're located in San Antonio, but the meeting usually in New York. But this is more like a, he would say more like a Buffett type operation. He doesn't talk to investors a lot, but he has 1 day to spend time with investors. He can answer one-on-one questions.
deal.
Yes.
Yeah, so he tries to copy Warren Buffett.
To the core, yeah.
The big difference is that his track record is not good at all.
Track record in terms of investments or the treating minority shareholders?
Capital allocation.
Oh, capital allocation is excellent. I don't know how
But
you
none
look
of
at
those businesses really make a whole lot of money.
They have. Like, it's even today, except one business, they all make a lot of money today.
Really?
Yeah. Like, let me say, you're about to do one. 100% first got insurance, right? It's a small insurance company. They insure truckers. You see large trucks they're going around. They sell directly insurance to them. And that company he bought maybe 5 years ago for something like $25 million. Today that makes $6 million in underwriting profits. And this is not just 1 year. Last year they made $5 million, the year before $5 million, the year before $4 million, the year before $3 million. And he's not even running the business. That's the intelligent thing. So the business came with the business owner. They wanted to sell it to somebody. They can still run it. He was one of the only guys to give that kind of opportunity. I actually met that CEO too. His name is Ed Campbell. And his father used to run the company. Now the son is running the company. They have no relationship whatsoever. It's like, I give an operation to Isaac and Isaac run it for me. And then when he doesn't have opportunity to reinvest the cash, if he send it back to me, I'll just go look for other Isaacs. And his track record has been excellent, except the fact that the company used to be so profitable, Steak and Shake. Now it's not. Maybe people would link that with the capital allocation with the Steak and Shake performance. Steak and Shake performance is not the only thing. For an example, the Cracker and Barrel investment today is traded for $370 million. He invested $220 million 8 years ago. Like he sold a lot of it. Now he wants 375. He almost made $1 billion in that.
He's probably one of the best restaurant turnaround artists.
He's probably one of the best investors on that age category. Runs a publicly traded corporation.
No, I mean just restaurants. He's turned around like Friendly's.
Yeah, he turned around 3 restaurants, and he actually turned around the Steak and Shake in 2008, 2009. That's when he took control of that business. And he turned it around, and then 10 years later, they turned it back, pretty much.
That's to come to a cognitive difference. I know another private investor who made out of money. I called him 3 times. I don't want to name his name. He's not smart enough to call it. But he thinks Big Glory has brilliant investment track record.
Well, you can see it's all publicly
And
available track
also I
record.
would talk about the recent investment on oil gas. He thinks it will turn out to be good investment because Big Glory has experience because in Texas, a few years ago he bought a stock of a minor oil gas company like 60 cents. It goes to $3, 5 times. He started, and so he know that.
He's been in the investment business for 20 plus years. He's only like 42 years old.
But only thing he said, why doesn't he use the cash to buy back such people discounted the shares? He doesn't understand that.
That's an
I don't
argument
understand
people
that.
make all the time, like efficient capital allocation you're probably talking about. But if he makes that purchase, let's say an oil gas opportunity comes along, where do you think he's going to get the cash from? Right? He already controls the company with the 60% ownership. Majority of the cash basically come from us. So he doesn't need any more stock, but he wants more diversity in earnings, so that if a Steak and Shake tax situation comes along later, he have other alternatives to bring in cash to use that.
So that's 45% owned by the company. He personally had his investor own 50%.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, him and his investors want to do.
Just if he comes 60%.
Yeah, basically, like this is a math problem to a large investors when they see the number of stocks outstanding, and they think the company is like $330 million or something. But half of the stock is actually owned by the shareholders, for us, by him. Basically, he controls that stock. He bought back the stock, and he controls it. Legally, it's outstanding, but it's owned by us. Legally. And that's a technical problem a lot of people cannot understand, which I understand. And that's one of the reasons we didn't think that the stock is very, very important. But again, everything comes down to whether how he runs the business over time, where the money is going to go into investments, and that's the only way we're going to be able to see whether we're right or not.
He's well hated on Wall Street.
And he doesn't care about anybody. He doesn't care
That's
about
the reason
consensus.
price is low.
One of the reasons. Probably he's very arrogant.
smart guy. I probably have made it like 10 times in the last 7 years or so, and I'm probably in the minority, thinking that he's still good and is still going to be good for the investors. But that remains to be seen how we're going to do it.
Well, it's my view, I totally agree on it. He created almost from scratch a $1 billion
Right.
company. You get $100 million compensation. If someone make a solid $1 million for me, I'm happy to pay him $100 million, even $300 million.
Well, yeah,
If you make $1 billion for me, you have $500 million. I can
we're
do
good.
that.
We're good.
Yeah.
Very good.
$100 billion?
Well,
he
in
collected
the last
about
10
$100
years.
million.
In the last 10 years.
But,
one
yeah.
of the argument people make is like he makes a lot of money. Like the compensation is tied with the operating performance and investment track record that he has. And he probably have made close to $100 million in the last 8-9 years or so personally. And almost all of that went into the company stock that he purchased personally, which I have no problem with. I manage money for people. I'm sure they're very happy to pay me if I did really well for them, which I have the same philosophy of paying to somebody if they have a rational compensation approach and they get paid when they do well. I'm all for it. I'm probably still in a minority.
No, I think I agree with you. I think the public made a mistake. Because Warren Buffett did not work for free. But Warren Buffett didn't work for free when he was young. So where he got like a 35% a share of Berkshire Hathaway, right? I mean, he's too rich. He said, I work for free. So this guy doesn't work for free. So I think it's fair. I'm okay with
Yeah,
it.
Raj mentioned that he copies Buffett to a large extent, which he did. But one of the areas that he did not copy is the zero compensation and Berkshire operates, because Buffett was already a billionaire when he instituted that policy. And which is fine for Berkshire, which is great for Berkshire shareholders, which I am one. But you cannot expect everybody. Warren Buffett is a model to replicate it for everybody. He's an exception. He's not a rule. He's an exception really. And people would see him as like he copies Warren Buffett and he doesn't copy his compensation structure. We see a disparity. I understand it, but I don't do that. I have to think for myself. I get paid to think for myself rather than public's opinion. I have no intention of copying public's opinion. I have my own thinking. I'm willing to take a chance on that kind of investment opportunity, and provided that we have a large upside potential to partner with that kind of person. We can talk about almost any of this if you want to, at the end. But let me go through another example. This probably, like some of the Indian audience probably know. This company is actually it's a funny way. The company trades in Toronto Stock Exchange in US dollars. The company's assets are in India. So Fairfax Financial, I'll give a large view. Fairfax Financial is an insurance company in Canada. This was pretty much set up after Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway type setup. Buy an insurance company, invest in insurance companies, proceeds into other companies, and then make more money and more money and more money. The company is controlled by Prem Vatsa. He's actually an IIT alumni from India. And he went to Canada for his master's studies. After he finished his master's, he went to work for an insurance company, an investment company. And a few years later, he started his own company. And he has something like 30 plus years track record in investing in all over the place. And 4 years ago, they realized that they have an opportunity, a large opportunity in India. And so they raised money, about $1.5 billion from public. They put like maybe 30% of the money themselves from Fairfax Financial. And their agenda is basically by Indian businesses, both public and private, and operated efficiently. And he's good friends with Modi and all of that. He's well connected with the politicians. And he has a large team in India who does like all the legwork if there's an opportunity we identified. And this is the sort of businesses that they've invested in the last 4 years or so. You've got a large international airport in Bangalore called Bangalore Airport. Actually, I've been to many times that airport, just I'm the owner now, right? So I go check it out how the property is managed. And the large financial services company called IIFL, that's split into 3 businesses now. One is a finance business, one is a wealth management, one is a brokerage custody and operation. And there are a bunch of other businesses, like some are chemicals, another one's a warehousing business, another one is like a fair chem, it's a chemical business. it's a container business and private sector banks. And the recent investment is one of the container shipping business. So there's $70 million with a $2 billion asset that they control. The agenda is the same thing. We want to operate and own the best efficient asset, take the money and reinvest in the same business or invest elsewhere. So this, when they announced that IPO, right, they raised $10 a share, and then they invested in 2-3 years, they invested all the money. And the stock was selling for $18 a share, that's 2 years, right? Now the stock is back to $12. But people can argue various reasons that India is not growing as fast as they used to be, or Indian currency is moving against the US dollars, or whatever that may be. But the business is going just one way. The airport has more passengers, more revenue, more cash flows. The finance business has more customers, more lending, more wealth management. So everything is like pointing one way, but the stock is going the other way to a large extent. That's the kind of things that I'm interested in.
Sure.
I want the business to be doing well. I want the stock to be cheaper, and this is absolutely one of them. And yeah, we actually have they have an annual meeting in Toronto. I attend every year, and you can basically ask any questions on the same things that we talk about. And yeah, today they invested something $2.2 billion or something total. The company today, you can buy it if you have the cash for $1.5 billion. That's a treat for you. So it's a large discount. The asset is going only one way. So Bangalore Airport, I want to highlight it, right? So when they started investing, they had a capacity of 20 million customers a year go through the airport. When they bought it, they had 22 million customers go through, more than the capacity itself. Last year, 3 years later, the capacity is 33 million and 34 million people go through. And 5 years from now, they expect 60 million people go through the Bangalore Airport. Actually, if you had an opportunity, I would like you to visit the Bangalore Airport to see what I'm saying. Well, actually, I've been to it because I have an interest and incentive to go visit it. It's the latest airport. They have an eye recognition. You can just walk through. You don't have to show any of your passports or anything like that. Because it's a fast-moving airport, and you have to move that many people. They're very sophisticated in technology. This is all done by they control the 54% of the airport themselves. And they have 460 acres of land around the airport. And they're going to monetize it over time. You know, hotel and construction, building and office spaces, and so many things.
Wait, so these guys brought in the new technology?
It's been brought in over time, yes. But majority of the new technology being upgraded in the last 4 years, yes.
Comparable, I believe Atlanta Airport, you have like 100 million passengers each year, correct?
Land around the airport?
Atlanta, US.
Atlanta, okay.
100 million.
Yeah.
What's the worst of Atlanta Airport?
I don't know. If it's publicly traded, if they distribute the, if it's not, I can't tell. But
What's the airport?
well, this airport, like today, they carried a 54% carried a $700 million worth. So they are essentially saying like $1.4 billion. They're saying they generate something like 120 million in earnings today.
It's gross.
Oh, that's only one way. 3 years ago when they bought it, they were earning 100 million. Now they're earning 120 million. Because they make a lot of investment. That's only one way to more passengers go through, airlines pay fees and customers pay through.
The airport is the crown jewel of this whole group. Best business.
That's the largest business by asset. It's probably the monopoly asset. Like to give you an idea, there's no competition, right? If you put up an airport, you cannot, as a rule, you cannot operate anybody in the 100-mile radius. Nobody can open up the airport, first of all. If you have an airport, and in Bangalore Airport, nobody can open up or operate an airport for 100 miles radius. So in that radius, people are going to be only relying on one airport, which is necessary to make such a large investment. Government has to take care of that kind of rules because no one's going to put $1 billion into an airport and somebody else open up another airport next door.
Not possible in India also because the land is not there. So
But government can make it happen if it's necessary. I've been to an airport called Baroda, and that's one of the recently done airport. But they find land if they need it.
where is Baroda?
Baroda is like maybe an hour and a half from Ahmedabad, Gujarat. But government can make it happen.
Modi probably made that happen.
Okay.
Well, Modi's moved on. 2 years ago was the airport was built. Modi moved on like 6 years ago. Yeah, but this is a contingent growth. Let's say 10 years from now, maybe another 110 miles from now, they open another airport. Do you think who's going to get the concession? The best operated guy operating the Bangalore airport right there. So they will be the natural beneficiary if there are any even adverse development happens in the area. Yes.
Some of the Indian chemical companies have benefited from these stricter environmental controls now. China,
yeah.
These two companies benefited from that.
They're very, very small actually. That Sanmar Chemicals have plants all over the place, not just in India. They actually have a larger plant in Turkey than in India. That became a special investment because they needed money and these guys know the guy who operated. Actually that Sanmar Chemical is in my hometown. That's a hometown business. But they have assets everywhere. The largest asset is in Turkey actually. And the second one, chemical, Ferrochem, right? That's actually more of a specialty chemicals, like if you want aroma type chemicals. Like if you're a bakery, if you're looking for some sort of specific, like a vanilla extract or something like that. So that's the chemical business, nothing to do with the industrial chemicals.
Wait, so you said 130 million in revenue?
Or 130 million in profit on that airport alone. That is per day.
What's their cash flow?
Well, their cash flow you need to aggregate because they want 50% of that and 30% of that and that. So they would easily make more than 150 million on the total company if they accumulate all of that cash. So you're essentially paying less than 10 times earnings.
Is there any debt on the holding company?
Tell you?
Any debt on the holding
Not much debt because the debt is associated with cash on the balance sheet. That's more like a revolver, so they don't have any net debt. That's the one important aspect. The holding company doesn't have a lot of debt or any debt, and any of these subsidiaries don't have any debt right now. So over time, when they grow, the airport will grow. The second terminal, second runway, second runway. They're all most of the cash flow is going to be going there, and then they will borrow money over time.
For the holding company or the
Now for the airport.
how about the holding company?
Holding company, none. Net
What's the
debt is zero.
look through free cash flow for the holding company?
About like 10, 11% yield today on the purchase price.
And so what is he marked up the NAV at?
The NAV is like marking up like $14 or so. It starts trading for 12. And the NAV changes based on some of the publicly listed companies.
The high watermark?
Yes, 5% high water mark. Every year.
When I'm in a high watermark, and the NAV is increasing.
Yes.
Right, so Fairfax insurance is being paid 50% of the increase.
Right. Profits, yes. Excess profits. The interesting thing is, so Fairfax has an
50%
incentive,
of the profits or the increase in NAV?
which is an increase in NAV. Which is essentially, if we think about it, it's a net profit added to the NAV.
Oh, wow. What's actually, did you also consider Fairfax Financial good value?
Fairfax Financial is a Canadian business, yeah. That's a larger business than this. They have assets all over the
This
globe.
falls under that.
They own a smaller percent. They own 33% of this particular company.
Oh.
67% is owned by people like me.
But they're completely separate.
They're independent companies. Yeah, they're independent companies. They have ownership in that. They run it. The same management runs it overseas operation.
What's it, it's the same name, Fairfax?
Fairfax India.
India, right, but it's.
That's the name. Fairfax India. Fairfax Financial is a Canadian company. There is a company called Fairfax Africa, which is a similar setup in Africa.
Are they owned by Fairfax?
33% is owned by Fairfax. Yes. Fairfax Africa is almost 50% owned by Fairfax. That's a even smaller company. They maybe have $500 million market cap. This is about 1.5 billion. And Fairfax Financial itself may be like $14 billion. So this is a bunch of ideas in various places, how I think about it, how I look at the management, how I look at the incentives, and how I look at the price versus what we're likely to get over time. And this is a few ideas to demonstrate to some of you, and some of you may already know these companies, and if you don't know it, even better, so you get to learn certain stuff. And if you have any questions on specific, you can answer. And some of my investors asked about, since I spend a lot of time in Indian subsidiaries like this, they asked me if I can set up an Indian partnership dedicated to opportunities in India. I said yes, problem is like they need to bring in like enough of a capital to run the business, basically to run the auditing and expenses. And I said yes, I'm exploring that opportunity. If anybody would be interested, I'll be willing to share more information. I actually put together a few companies. I don't know if you have time or energy to listen to those kind of opportunities, but if you are, I can share a few of those companies still. Yeah? That's awesome.
Before you go continue
Yeah,
comments,
yeah.
so basically what you do here is the collection sample of the portfolio is disconnected with the market index.
Right.
So basically performance long term will really just based on economics of the business. Really sometimes will do better than the market, sometimes will be poorer than the market. So basically it's
Yeah, it's an independent, in my portfolio for my clients, I own about 80 different companies like this, right? Most of the companies are not even part of some indexes that you follow, like index-based investors. And that's the way I like it. That's the way I
The
think
stuff
the
you own
opportunity.
don't even have an analyst fund. Most of the stuff you own doesn't even have an
I probably the one of the only few analysts or independent analysts looking at these companies.
There's no coverage on Blueberry Holdings or.
Although they are some cases they are large enough businesses, Mexican Televisa business, $5.5 billion. But nobody in the US follows them.
Sure.
Maybe people in Mexico follow because it's part of some Mexican index or whatnot, and nobody. Like Industrias Pachoca, for instance, they're not even part of Mexican index because it's 75% controlled by the family. And I'm probably one of the very few guys in US who owns this Mexican stock of the chicken business. So, for long story short, I'm saying this is going to be completely independent to an S&P 500
Sure.
or MSCI top index, where you only own like large companies in those particular countries. Right? This is like based only on opportunity set for me. What I can understand, what I think is going to be very good over time, and how is it changed today.
So you are basically going into that the three principle
Yes.
you mentioned before, but your hunt is little further reach because you
the
own
region is wide open.
wide open.
The
Okay.
region is where I go where the opportunity is. And there are some areas that I won't go into because I'm not comfortable with their
Sure.
cultures and consumers and governance. For an example, like Russia, right? For an area like Russia, Ukraine, I don't have a good feedback about investors feeling good about investing
Sure.
money in Russia.
Yeah.
Clearly, I've never been to Russia. I've never seen any Russian channels or anything like that to have an educated guess about the governance, both the corporation as well as the government. So that precludes me from owning a Russian-based companies. But other than that, if I like the company's governance, if I like the governance in the area, they're
But this is a good example because your background growing up in India, and we all know Indian airports are like flourishing, like they're unstoppable
Yeah.
because people are new
You need
generation
to be
flyers.
careful. You need to be careful on that. There are lots of airports in India. They are either publicly traded or private. They are loaded with financial debt.
Oh really?
Yeah, so you need to be careful on whether the business seems to do well, how the financials of that business.
Okay,
So
that makes sense,
you're
yeah.
not. You need to separate that and combine it together to see
Sure.
what you see is what you
Yeah,
you
because
get.
we can be full with the crowd.
Right. So the crowd may be there. The money is going to the financial debt holdings, not to the equity owner, like an
Sure.
owner like me. So that's why it's very good. You need to be able to separate that. In some cases, you're right that I have a background and knowledge on
Mhm.
certain Indian business. I visit India at least once a year. So I check out these kind of things. So I have an outsider view as well as a type of insider view to see where the opportunities and why other people are missing it. But if I say this to like somebody in Mexico, right? If I say to like an Indian airport, they don't know where to start, where to begin, where to end, right? Like a lot of you, like you've never heard about Bangalore Airport is owned by Fairfax India, right? Unless you know about these kind of things, you won't drill down and come to a sort of a conclusion to say whether it's a good enough bet or not. Yes.
Have a portfolio already. Say you're using 18 companies. So, say, does it depend on the time frame for the investor? Say, for the fund and investor, say, okay, for a 5-year investment or 10-year investment, you change the portfolio?
No.
That's one question.
Yes.
Second question I have is, I mean, I have a problem investing in cigarette, tobacco,
Right.
and pot companies. I had a friend who passed away by taking drugs.
Okay.
I have a problem there. So, if you have those kind of people, I mean, say vegetarian would hesitate to invest in
Right.
chicken.
Right.
You know, so you change the portfolio based on the.
Not very much. The first question is pretty much no. In the sense that if somebody comes to me like, I have a 2-year timeline, can you invest for me? That's a pretty much no. Because I don't know any of these businesses that we invest, we're going to be able to monetize that in 2 years from now. Maybe some cases, some of the stock prices will reflect what I think the market price is worth, but I'm not going to be able to bet on it. What I'm saying is, this is how I invest my own money. If you think there is some merit in it, you can join for the ride.
Sure.
Right? And second question, the ESG type environment, right? There are some things we can do. There are a lot of business that I won't invest in for various reasons, but there are some things we can take care of. I mean, if we really feel strong about it, and we won't invest in tobacco company or something like that, we may be able to say, yeah, we won't invest for you. But usually I never invest in a tobacco company in my life. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Because the primary problem has nothing to do with the ESG. Primary problem is they are killing the customers. So they constantly keep needing to find more and more customers. They're killing the existing, but to a large extent. I'm not scientifically saying every customer they are killing by cigarettes or anything like that. But that's a bad business model. But having said that, some of the companies have thrived in the last 100 years, tobacco-based businesses. But they've been recently struggling. Some of the reasons are what you articulated. People don't want to be associated with that kind of companies. And people's view that business is permanently impaired. Going forward, it's going to be less and less customers to get the cash flows from, which is understandable. But my intention of not owning it is a little bit different because that business model, that I cannot see that number of customers can grow and the business is going to thrive on the cash flow. So I want a happy customer. When I go to a U-Haul, I have a good experience, the business is a good business. If I have a bad experience, I'm unlikely to rent it from U-Haul again. So they're killing off the customer string if they behave bad, right? So I want the business to behave good to the consumers, so consumers keep going back to the business. So in a way, I want the recurring customer to keep showing up. Tobacco is one of a very good experience. The loyal customers that keep going back, but there aren't that many loyal customers. There are new customers that are joining in that field. But some things we can do, but not a whole lot of things. It's more like this is the way I see the world as a business, to invest my own money. And if you see some merit and intelligence in it, you can very well join. And these are the ground rules. And either you accept it or you don't. That's pretty much up to the client and potential clients. And because I am not in the business of convincing other people to invest with me. I have a tough enough job of investing my own capital, and if somebody wants for a ride, and I will take them. We're very glad to have more investors, but not at the expense of diluting my own interests and differences between my investors. I want the investor to be okay. We run an Indian restaurant. I want them to come in thinking that I run an Indian restaurant. We eat at the Indian place, okay? You can come in and you can criticize the Indian food is not good, this is not the best I had, but I don't want to think that I came in here for Italian food. I don't want the people to say that I want the salt to be a little bit higher, spices to be a little bit lower. No, I don't want that kind of criticism. I want them to come in for the experience, which they can try the food and they can come in. And I want them to be a happy customer going forward, rather than I'm convincing, pulling the customer in for a ride.
So what is the near future? Like you already doing a lot of research, but there is news all over. It's a global slowdown, and your assets are kind of
All over
globally.
the place. Yeah.
So suppose somebody comes on board as a ride, it may be not that good ride. Means I'm just throwing
That's
something.
entirely possible. The one guarantee that I can make is my 100% of net worth is right there. Right? If that is not good enough for you, nothing else can be good enough for you. If you don't think that guy invests 100% of his own money that way, maybe he's not willing to lose any of the money, right?
Can I just say something? I know a lot of you guys don't know me, but I've been in the value investing business since 1992. And I actually run a family office, my own family firm, for the last 21 years now. And I have some money invested in Billy, and he has not me. I'm going to give him more money because he knows what he's doing. And I don't say that lightly. I see 1,000 young investors every year, and very few of them actually know each one.
It's actually interesting. James Spann and I maybe met twice, like one-on-one, before he gave me money. I never asked him. It was actually funny. He arranged us this Berkshire Hathaway meeting afterwards at dinner. And if you're a first-time comer for that meeting, you need to pitch a stock idea. And it was my time to pitch. It was time got over. I never was able to pitch, right?
I forgot about it.
And then it was like it was over. People started leaving and said, "Oh, Gobi, I totally forgot about you." Like that was the first time we ever meet, right? Because I was going the first time. And then he said, "What is your idea?" I said like industrial chocolate. It's like, good, you didn't pitch. And then the next time I saw him, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give you some money to manage. But I never asked him. I never did it. He
Because
probably
looked
sees
at it.
something.
I looked at that stock, and they said, well, the stock's a little high for me. Is that closer to its 52 high? That's low, and usually I don't buy stocks that are close to its high. But immediately, I could see that he knew what he was doing. To me, at this stage of my career, I can tell when people get it and they don't get it.
No, he's extensive research.
He's the most, I don't get this about him. He's the most talented, undiscovered guy in terms of stock. I don't understand why he doesn't have it. Tell all my friends on Wall Street about him. No one gives him a chance. I don't understand. It's the most inefficient situation I've seen in a long time.
You learn how to do marketing for this.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. If it's not obvious you should buy from him, then you shouldn't be a client. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, if it's not obvious, right? Like if it's not obvious, you're probably not the right one. You're probably not looking for it.
If you're worried about whether there's going to be a recession next year or you could be down 20%, because you could, then you shouldn't be a client. But if you're worried about, if you're only concerned about increasing your purchasing power over the next 10, 15 years, you should give this guy a lot of consideration.
Well, that's the way. Like a lot of people like here, like when they invest with me, they probably see one way or another the same thing. Otherwise, they would not have given money. And this is sort of an opportunity to thank them in some ways. James Spann has been extremely generous, including today's comments. And he's been just generous with me. And it's kind of, I still cannot put like why he has been generous with me.
Because what are you doing?
Maybe you've been generous with a lot of people.
No. Again, I know a lot of people, a lot of young people come to Wall Street. I've survived Wall Street for 25 years. You don't survive Wall Street for 25 years unless you lose. Because the market will just wash you. Okay? I'm telling you, there are very few money managers who know what they're doing.
Well, again, you need to trust your own knowledge and intensity based on what I say and how I answer your questions and all of that. That could be a bonus.
And he's lost me money. That's the thing. I'm down on my account, but I no problem giving.
I mean, I'm sure he has seen this kind of thing before. I've seen this kind of thing before. It's not about making money at the end of the quarter, end of the year, whether we're marking up or marking down. It's nothing to do with it. I could mark any clients up, like to buying large cap stocks.
Yeah.
End of the quarter or before the end of the quarter. But that's not the business I'm in.
Sure.
I'm in a business I want to conservatively manage my money along with the people who want to come for a ride. And this is the sort of approach I take. I think about stock as a piece of a business. If I own the right type of a piece of a business, we're going to be richer over time, along with time. Incidentally, actually, I gave Anne a book about 100 Bagger.
Yeah, I read that too. Yeah.
It's basically the same approach. We buy a sort of strong enough businesses, and then we just be an owner for that kind of business for a long enough time. And if you look at that kind of companies, they probably solve certain problems and they keep treating customers right. And there are some obvious mistakes as well. I'll share one of them. But majority of the businesses, they thrive because they're very competitive. They treated the employees right, they treated their shareholders right, they treated their customers right and all of that. And eventually, if you find the right type of manager who can have a long career, and it's actually a no-brainer to buy in and wait for that guy to perform. In some ways, that's what I'm saying about myself. right? I have a long career, I have a long enough portfolio myself, and if you want to join, you're very welcome. I will be willing to answer almost any of your questions. And that's the way life I want to be lived. And hopefully I'll be useful to some of you. And
Already have the age that you're investing, already have the more recent ideas.
no, for obvious reasons, the recent IPOs tend to be the businesses are very early in stage. Two, they usually don't make money. That's why they need outsiders money. So those two things are just a pretty much no in my book, because I want to have a long enough track record before I want to be a partner in that business. So I want to see how this business have thrived over time. There could be some recessions along the way. I'm looking back, right? There could be some competitive forces came along the way. How they have survived and thrived is very important to me. Without having that mindset or framework, I just cannot see how this business is going to survive the next downturn. Believe me, we haven't seen the downturn in the recent years, but it will be coming at some point. I don't want to be the guy at that downturn worried about my investment.
But
If
these,
anything,
these companies, you can see how much they elastic, so then he can position or readjust. But
if
when
anything,
IPOs,
if anything, I want the next recession to be useful to the companies that I'm already invested in. Because what it's going to do, it's going to eliminate a lot of competition in the recession. So the winner takes all type of situation. Yes.
Question related to, by the way, I agree with Jim's comments, because I think I know all the portfolio very well. We know what's Fairfax India and Fairfax. Among the two, which is a better one? Because Fairfax is also discounted, have a good track record, even more diversified. And also Fairfax own Fairfax India. So if Fairfax India do well, Fairfax will benefit.
Right.
Plus it will get a manager fee.
Right.
So one question. Secondly, I want to follow up with your question. Is among all your investment, you only pick 6, 5.
Right.
So all of them are
Well, we can go through all of them.
No,
but I don't have time.
So,
We don't have time.
so what I mean is that if there's a bad recession, I'm pretty sure all of them will survive. Because you have a screening criteria,
Right.
strong balance sheet,
Right.
have strong business franchise, and you make money. So as they all become stronger,
They will. That's my expectation. If there is a, let's say, a recession
long
comes
term,
along,
right?
if there's a recession comes along like next few years, and a couple of the competition to U-Haul will be wiped out, and then what's going to happen? U-Haul's going to get more customers.
Or people will be self-moving, that's for sure.
Well, the recession could be like in a couple where like people would be moving from one location to another. We could have more customers that way too. But in general, in the recession, the company would be hurting because they would be less profitable than the year before. But when the situation becomes normal, they'll be the only guy making a lot of money. The competition is lost away. And the question for your first question of Fairfax Financial or Fairfax India, it depends on what you want. It depends on if you want to own it forever, if you want to own it for a certain currency reasons, if you want a diversified currency, most larger business, you can do well with Fairfax Financial. But if you understand and want to position yourself based on Indian opportunity, this is the best you can find among the list of players in all over America or Canada. So it depends on what you want out of it. If you want to own the airport, you can own it 54% directly or 33% or 54% through Fairfax Financial, which is a less of an ideal bet if you really like the airport. And if you think the airport capacity is going to double in the next 5 years or so, you're far better off owning Fairfax India than Fairfax Financial.
Is high water mark, is high water mark easier if you're not paying the full management fee until I think it's 1% that they're already paying?
Yes.
I think because the Indians and good Prime Minister Modi here in a few years, the policy is very poor business. I think India will do well. When India do well, I think
There will
Fairfax
be
India will
bumps
do well.
along the road. There will be bumps along the road, without a doubt. India's not going to be a one-way story. It's not going to be a one-way story. There will be bumps along the way. It could be corporate type issues. It could be It could be a currency type situation, or it could be political uncertainty type event. It could come along, but you cannot get rid of like 1.2 billion people's productivity over time. India is expected to be 5 trillion economy in 5 years. In 10 years, they're expected to be somewhere like 10 trillion. And today, they're at like 2.5 trillion. So you're talking about 4x in the next 12 years. Just the Indian economy. There are certain players underneath, they can grow even further than that.
I'm more optimistic than you, because I remember when I first moved to Canada to did my graduate work, so which is in '86, and I think at that time Canadian GDP economy was big of China, because at that time China was not doing, just started doing economic jump, but now 30 years later, China is far bigger than Canada, and it's the second largest economy. That's why American government do a lot of policy to push China down. I think that India probably will have the similar trajectory.
Because it's just that the curve of people are moving into a lower income to a little bit higher income, moving to a higher income of thriving. So they're trying to
I see that movie for China, but I think that we will still see moving to India.
They're going to consume a lot of goods and services, investments, and all of that, and I just don't see a negative view if you're going to invest for the next 5 years or 10 years. You're going to have a decent outcome, a great outcome. But that's one of the reasons I'm looking at like an India-based vehicle, basically, to invest directly in India. This is actually an indirect investment, right? So we invest in a Canadian company owns Indian assets. There are Indian companies you can directly go invest in directly right now. So there is no middleman to participate in that compensation. But there are a few ideas next.
So I have a question like this.
Yeah.
When you said the people will invest with you, how is your program works?
Yes.
Just curious.
Yeah, so this is a very simple. So let's say Sanjay wants to invest with me, and then you need to sign an agreement with me as your manager, and then I am working with a broker custodian, an interactive broker.
Sure.
So we three sign an agreement together saying, Gobi's going to be my manager, and Gobi has this fee structure, which is right now like flat 1% per year.
Yeah.
And then he opens up an account, like a bank account for you.
Yeah.
You put the money in there. I am the manager. I place the money into investments over time.
Okay.
And I don't have any authority to take money in and out of your account. That's just you, right? The custodian only deducts the fees every quarter, and then he gives it back to me, and you will receive the statement from me.
Okay.
It's very, very simple.
Yeah, it's pretty good
It's
actually.
like an Ameritrade. It can work in almost any platform. Schwab, Ameritrade, or anything like that. You open an account, you make me a manager, and you sign an agreement with that account.
Yeah. So Interactive Broker is launching next week something free,
Yes.
which is even better, right?
Right. So there are lots of like free trading tools available today in the market, like Robinhood type things. So Interactive Brokers is operating or opening a platform. It's like basically free trading. So right now they have this, like, if you don't have $100,000 in your account, if you don't trade very much, you're not profitable in the business, right?
Right.
So they only charge $10 a month, whether you trade or anything. If you don't trade, you only charge $10. Now they're getting rid of it.
Yes.
So you could be a $50,000 customer and you don't trade. Usually, if you
No,
go
that is a
gonna
game
make
changer. Means they launching on October 5th, so nobody has to pay like value investor. You don't pay.
Even today, you're not paying too much, because if you have a $100,000 account, you don't pay anything.
Exactly.
You don't pay nothing really. If you have if you don't have $100,000 account, you probably charge like $10 a month.
Right.
If you don't even make any transaction.
True.
In my case, we probably won't make any transaction.
Because you are pretty much
I'm
long
buying
hold.
it one time, and then we're gonna sit there for a long time to prove that the business that I picked is right.
So then in that case, suppose in certain situation
Yeah.
you wanna exit that position because either fundamental change
Right.
or you are the authority
I
to
am
change.
the only guy.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have any authority. Basically
Sure.
saying that creates a conflict, right? It's like, if you know what you're doing, you should be doing what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you're bringing me as a manager, you're giving me that authority to do it. and you're relying on me, on my judgment, on my own investor capital to do the right thing for you and me. So I would be doing that, yes.
Sure.
It can happen in the next 3 months or 3 years, but it's likely 3 years than 3 months. Because we don't get the, unless something drastic.
So basically the communication will be between you and the investor.
Yes.
So Interactive Broker is just a platform.
Yeah, Interactive Broker is the custodian. That's where it's
Exactly.
like a bank. That's where we
Right,
keep the
so
money.
you are not taking the money to your account and investing, it is on the customer's account, you are
It's like
managing.
your Bank of America account, and I manage that
Exactly.
portfolio for you. That's it.
No, I have that experience, so good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to take up too much of the time. I just want to go through a few things. The Indian type ideas. How many Indians have Indian background? Few, right? So anybody heard of this company, Care Ratings? It's
No.
a credit rating agency company. It's just like Moody's or S&P.
Wow.
So this is second largest company in credit rating agency field in India. The first one is Moody's partner in India. So they are second largest credit rating agency. If you think about it, what they do is they give opinion on your corporate credit and government credits for money. It's like a research firm, really. And what's so amazing about it, that's true here to Moody's and S&P as well. The company makes enormous amount of money. There's no room for more than 3 players. So this oligopolistic, all the investors want the credit ratings from the companies that they want to buy bonds and stocks of. So these guys are the ones supplying. The companies who want to raise money, they want to get the rated so that investors will give them money. So they are an intermediary middleman research firm researching about this, so many thousands of companies and credit rating agencies and giving it to investors. So it's like a certification. This company has like AAA, A, B, B, B. It's like a rating. And they get paid from the company itself. So the company makes something like 60% margin on a pre-tax basis. And they don't need to keep any of the money. They give it back to you. They give it back to the shareholder. To grow the business, they don't need to reinvest any money. They just sign up a new client, hire one analyst, 2 more clients, hire another analyst, 3 more clients. They just keep going. A country like India, the corporate credit is in a very, very early phase. So the only one way it's going to go is a lot more companies are going to raise a lot more money, and a lot more customers are going to want to buy these credit from these companies, like loans or bonds. And this is one of the guys going to participate and prosper in that prospect. The company has no debt, which goes back to my conservative nature of the company. The company has like 30% of the market cap is in cash. If they want it, they can give it back to you tomorrow. And you're only paying like 9 times, 10 times earnings for that company. This is unheard of. Until last year, you would have paid like 25 times earnings for this company. This company is down among other companies too, for 2 reasons. India NBFC problem. Anybody heard about this non-banking financial? So lots of banks, non-banking financial companies have gone into trouble. So basically they give money, lending to like their uncles and their brothers and the building infrastructure company, and the money is not coming back, they're all in trouble. So these companies rated these ratings, so if the company never comes back, these companies don't have clients. So people are worrying about what the profit next quarter is going to be, next year is going to be if those troubled clients don't come back for the next year ratings, which is understandable, and they may or may not come back. But my bet is not based on the next quarter or next year. My bet in the next 5 years, Indian economy is going to be $5 trillion, $2.5 trillion is going to be created in GDP, and they're going to be one of the easiest players to profit.
Are they doing for consumers also? Like here we have Experian or something like that?
Those are different businesses.
Okay.
The consumer business is very different business than a corporate credit business. But they don't. India is very, very nascent. Almost nobody has a scorecard.
Okay.
Almost no one has a credit scorecard like here in the US. That's a very, very nascent. No one has.
Among all your revenue, you think this is probably the best?
Well, everybody is tuned to certain type of opportunity, right? Yeah, the problem is none of you can buy it. You have to be either an Indian or an Indian based in overseas, or you have a vehicle, which is like through me, we have an opportunity directly to invest in So that is the kind of hope that I'm trying to
Sure,
build.
you need a vehicle.
Not yet, but I'm working on it. But it sort of depends on the chicken and egg problem, right? I want the clients to be there. I want the entity to be open. That takes a few months to open it, and then when I open it, I'm going to be done with spending my money, and if I don't have a client, that creates an obvious discomfort.
This is the best because I have experience in investing in Moody. I bought at 18. I saw some at 60, some at 120, now at 200.
This is one of the best businesses.
And
This,
I
yeah,
also,
in terms of general businesses, this is one of the best businesses available in the world. It's not just care rating, but general Moody's and Kickrock and S&P and all of that. Because for two reasons, they don't have competition. Almost everybody who wants to raise money, they have to go through them.
Well, not only that, the more people that look at the stocks, so if you have Moody's and S&P, look at your bond issue, cost of capital of that company is actually low.
So if a company is rated by care, right? So people can confidently give money to them at a lower rate than if the company is not rated. So it's obvious for the company to be rated by them than not, because it's efficient and cheaper for them to be rated. So it's an obvious benefit for the company, obvious benefit for the client. So that's why they'll be able to thrive. So this is one of the ideas that I look at from it works in one market. How do we replicate that in another market which is not sort of well understood yet? And if you had to buy it like a year ago, you would have paid 25 times earnings. Today you can buy it for 11 times earnings because of that uncertainty or trouble on the client end that they go through. So this is one of the reasons you have to have a longer view to see the business's merit rather than what's going to happen next quarter. So next business is pretty similar. It's called Bharti Infratel. Anybody know Bharti Infratel?
No.
So this is, how many people know American Towers? Yeah. This is actually a replica of American Tower in India. They actually have more towers than American Towers in America, or globe. They have 164,000 towers in America, India. It's an Indian-based, Indian-traded company. They have 164,000 towers, and they cater to 2 tenants per tower, and they make about 50% return on capital.
Are they monopoly there?
They are an oligopoly. American Tower is the second largest guy with maybe a third of the size of this guy.
What's the market cap?
Market cap is about $5.5–6 billion. And they
What's the average Indian cell phone bill?
Indian average cell phone bill has gotten very, very lower now. Maybe like $3, $3.50 a month.
No,
and
no,
it
more.
used to be like 5–6 players.
Now still $5–6.
It depends on where you go, what kind of
Okay.
plans you purchase, but average, yes. I know a lot of people in my family.
So 15 years from now, do you think that'll be higher or lower?
Higher.
So what's going to happen?
Yeah, so the tower usage is going to be only going to go higher because more data bandwidth, like you said, 5G network, it needs more equipment on the tower, and they go through more data. Today, Indians actually consume more data per month on wireless than in the US. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Because US, a lot of people consume the data through your phone Wi-Fi, which is a wire-based, not literally on the tower-based. In India, it doesn't have a lot of fiber infrastructure optics network, so a lot of the data goes through the wireless, through towers. Yes.
Yeah, so in the U.S., part of the reason why, in my opinion, towers were so successful was because people didn't want to build towers next to each other. And there's, a lot
Because
of
I'll tell you why.
pressure on the
Because
local level.
AT&T and
They're the same
Verizon and
people.
everybody, they had their one tower. So if you had a one tower, one tenant per tower, like this company cannot exist, or American Tower cannot exist. So one tower, if you had it, the return on capital that you generate is 6%. But if you shared it with the 3 people, the client gets the benefit, and this guy rented to 3 people instead of 1 person. So that is the attractiveness of business model. The client benefits and the aggregator benefits also. So like I said, this is a 2 tenancy per tower in India average. This is the highest by far. Everybody else is like 1.1, 1.2. And there is a wave of bankruptcies in the clients. You probably have heard about it. Lots of Indian-based telcos, like wireless telcos, they've gone into bankruptcy in the last few years. So because of Reliance Jio. I don't know if you've seen it. Reliance Jio pretty much took up this one large business, took out all the other smaller subsidiaries. because they are not competitive anymore. They have reduced the prices, and these people cannot survive on that kind of pricing. And so now that it used to be 2.2 tenancy, now it's 1.8 tenancy. And now it's going to be only 3 or 4 big players like in the US. So they're going to be towers are going to be shared across them, and the tower-based owners are going to be very, very profitable. And because of those customer bankruptcies the last year or two, this business is based on the past year's earnings. It looks very, very cheap. But because everybody's looking at what's going to happen now, because the rates are poor and the next year's and what the tendency is very same thing. And I can answer any questions you may want, but I'll take a look at another business. So these are businesses very large, both parking, Infratel, and the care ratings, right? So the other 3 businesses I'm going to tell you, they're very small. Maybe one of the last business I'm going to tell you. We can pool all the money in this room together, we can buy that business. I don't know how much you have in your pocket, we can buy that business. So I'll tell you. So the third one. So this is a holding company, which is not very different from what Regulari Holdings we talked about. This business owns another business which is also publicly traded, and you can go look at their financials and all of that. If you look them through, the company is basically trading for 3 times earnings. Really 3 times earnings. If the company is being in the business for the next 3 years, the company will have a cash balance equal to today's market cap. That's it, you have the business for free after 3 years. It's a very, very, very simple story. But these kind of discounts exist all over the place. For 2 reasons, not all of them are good ones. Because both the subsidiary level and the holding company level, management takes salary, usually. So that warrants a discount. In this case, that doesn't exist. The management controls the Bertman Holdings. They don't get paid at all. The company has no expenses. Literally, the company has no expenses. They have revenue, they have tax, and then they have profit. That's the appeal about this particular type of business among the hundreds of other discount holding companies.
But what could be a disruptor to yarn production?
They are the largest yarn producer in India. If there is a new development, they could adapt it. The largest guy has an advantage. They have the resources, they have the scale, they have the capital, they can adapt it, they can move on. The smaller or minority type in the company, they cannot go on with that kind of a revolutionary change if that happens.
They sell the yarn outside Indian market or just domestic?
Most of them are domestic, and where they have very few export. Maybe like 10% of the total sales is coming from export. Then again, I'm telling you, you can go look at it independently. So you can sort of verify what I'm telling you is true. That's the way to basically check my analysis to some level.
So how much can we buy this for?
How much what?
How much can we buy this for?
Not this company, there's 2 companies down the line. But this company, we can still buy it if James Bank will operate it.
Really, James? Let's go.
Oh, where's Nelson? Nelson gone away. Nelson's money we can buy. Yeah. Nelson and James, yeah, we can buy. But I don't think they're going to be able to sell it because the company controlled by the founders, they control about 70% of the company. So this is a similar company.
All these are traded in India.
They're all, well, you can set up an individual buy. So this is all I'm giving it to you as a sort of ideas, not picked over. These are like unbelievable to me that why it's not picked over. Because a guy like me is not looking at it in India because either they are very retail investors, they're not looking, either they are fund managers, they cannot get into the smaller type of companies, which they don't know when the price is going to appreciate. They're all looking for, I want to buy a stock at X, I want to sell it like X plus Y at some time. Without having the guarantee of when they're going to make money, they're not interested. I was in India 2 weeks ago, and I was talking to a bunch of my Indian friends, locals, right? Like, look, we can set up a partnership, we can take care of it. Like, how much money are you going to make? That's what they're saying. Like, it's hard to say. It depends on so many different things, and it takes a few years. They were like, no, we can, rent it to somebody, like lend it to somebody at like 1.5% a month or something like that. It's a hard sell to sell it to somebody who's in a different type of mindset. This is a similar thing, similar holding company, which is actually a subsidiary and distributed to shareholders like me. This was a conglomerate company called CESC. They are in all kinds of businesses. Started from power generation to power distribution to all kinds of minerals production, and they have a small business. This business is basically an IT service provider for large clients, like mostly telecom clients. And they own a large mall in Kolkata. Anybody from Kolkata? Anybody been to Kolkata?
Born there.
Oh, you were born there, so you must know the Quest Mall.
Very well.
Yeah. So Quest Mall is one of the iconic properties in that town. And they own the land around it. And that they spent about 250 crores, I'm talking about 40 million. They spent it like 10 years ago when they built it. Today they make about $5 million in profit. And the total company is probably selling for like $100 million. And you're not even paying anything for the 56% owner in the other $500 million business. And this is very good because of the management. It's a big management, whoever the management who wants to segregate a business and give it to you, they can independently run. That is a sort of a general good rule. A lot of management wants to conglomerate. They want to own many more and more business underneath, and you can see how each individual business is run. So anybody who separates those kind of smaller businesses to you, they're giving you an autonomous view of how you can look at those businesses. But it's general that anybody who owned the CESC and they got this, they're like, what is this? I didn't buy it for the small IT processor and a mall. I bought it for a power plant and a distribution in Kolkata, right? So they usually sell that kind of situations. That is one of the reasons the company is selling for cheaper today. Yeah, next one. And this is the company that I was talking about. Anybody from Baroda or been to Baroda, Ahmedabad? It's going to look like a joke. Like, this company is the only 5-star independent hotel in Baroda. Baroda is the second largest town in Gujarat. And I was actually there at the annual meeting. I was the only outsider. I told them I'm from Chennai.
You didn't say U.S.?
No, I told them I'm from Chennai. They were like, you came from Chennai?
That's far. They can't digest.
I've been wondering you say you come from the U.S.
No, they make it a different idea. Like, why are you here? You know, are you trying for like some nefarious reasons or evil purpose, anything? So whenever I don't need to disclose, I don't disclose. And I said, where are you coming from? I said I'm coming from Chennai, which was true. I boarded the plane from Chennai. And I was the only shareholder, actual shareholder, who shows up to the annual meeting. And usually you see like a management and board and a bunch of employees sitting there, and then a bunch of employees' friends they bring in because they have a free meal. After every annual meeting, they have a free meal. A lot of local people, they usually buy 1 or 2 stocks, and then they go to the annual meeting for a meal. This is their best return on investment. Believe me, I've met several people. This is the best return on their investment. So the meal could cost, let's say, like $5 to $10, and the stock they bought, it doesn't even cost $5 to $10. So every year they're making more than 100% return. Having said that, I was the only guy to ask any questions. So to put it in perspective in US dollars, right, the company is literally trading for $6 million. And they have about $4 million in cash.
What? Wait, it's selling for $6 million?
Yeah, it's a 133 hotel room.
Why don't we just buy that?
Yes. All we need is like $6 million.
I'm with you.
And provided that guy who controls 53% of the whole stock, he needs to sell it to us.
Yeah.
We can buy 47% of the company. We
Do
can
a leverage buyout. Let's just take over.
The question is, how you gotta run it.
Well, they run it. That's the interesting thing. The 53% partner I said, that's ITC. How many people know ITC Hotels?
Yeah.
ITC Hotels is the 53% owner and an operating partner. So
Choice
basically,
Hotels.
huh?
Is that choice?
Sure.
Who's ITC?
ITC is a hotel. ITC. They're a conglomerate, and they made a lot of money like cigarettes, tobacco.
Goldie,
Yes.
the guy who owned the hotel, the country investor, probably not dumb. He knows the value.
Yeah.
So don't you think we can do we buy the minority shareholder because he are dumb?
so he sell to us. Because this guy can sell to us, but you pay up to the fair value.
Right.
Is that correct?
Right. So
So we only
if
can
we
be
go,
second largest shareholder.
if we
That's
go
why.
and ask them, like, do you want to sell the whole hotel to them? The guy at the ITC says, we don't want to, because they all.
This is a leverage buyout.
You can do that, but that's the approach you have to approach. So the company is basically given a management contract to ITC. So they pay 15% of the revenue as a royalty. That's their income. They pay taxes and they move on. There is no expense associated with it. There is no operating risks with it. The company has no leverage, no finance risk in it. So it's literally taking the royalty payment from somebody else's sales. Well, it's literally our sales, but somebody else is earning it.
Could the employees walk out? You took it over?
No, because we still tell the management to keep running it if we wanted to, or we can run it if we wanted to. But I don't think we can get the control of the company at this kind of price. What we can do as a minority shareholder, we can buy 10 or 20% of the company at these rates, provided we can buy it from other shareholders. Maybe it may take a year or two to buy it, and after that we approach the management and say, look, we both want to take the company private entirely. And we don't need to have a company. And we distribute the earnings every year and then we move on. We run the business as it is.
Well, they'll know where you're from then.
Yeah. Well, at some point they have to know. It's like, yeah, I'm originally from the US, I boarded the plane from Chennai.
That's okay, they'll love us even more. They'll like, okay,
Well, at that point they know that I am not a nobody, I am a guy with their
no,
partner.
we'll provide them
finding
less
jobs.
for being television.
He's finding jobs.
So that's by far the best opportunity if you want to be an activist investor in India. Yeah. If I had the tools and clients support to do that certain type of stuff, that would be the first thing I'd be doing in India. Yeah, having said that, that's a gist of Indian opportunities for you, and I'd be open to answer any of your questions.
Why is the opportunity in India like this? I don't see the US market have this kind of.
Because US market is picked over, you are smart, and if it's an opportunity available, you're going to go buy it.
They had these type of opportunities.
They had
in
1972, 73,
1974.
1982, if you go. There were opportunities like
They had these opportunities in 2008. Yes.
Second question is this opportunity in China, I would invest.
Yeah.
In India, I'm interested because India has the rule of law. If I give you money to you and you convert the Indian rupee and then you buy, then you can once you make the money, can you put the money back?
Of course, of course. Of course, a lot of people from India here and then they invest and then retain the money back and it's all cool.
Yeah, you can bring 100,000 tax free.
No, that's a tax free. Can we retain all the money
Oh,
back if you
okay,
want
okay.
it? Sure,
Sorry.
because that's just like any investment.
Another question I have is the knowledge. A few years ago, there was a very smart Canadian investor, forget the name. He told the investor, let's buy U.S. assets. First, U.S. have a better business. Second, that Canadian currency will look overvalued versus U.S. dollars. So we get two benefits. So now, the India rupee is look undervalued versus U.S. dollar.
Historically looking at it, it looks that way because the dollar is at the highest point relative to the Indian rupees in the last 100 years.
This is the time, so the U.S. dollar is a bad cheap asset because the dollar was
I'm probably on the contrarian side, thinking that U.S. versus India rupees over a long period of time, it's going to be one way, like the way it's been going. Because India is going to have a large inflation because of the large growth, and U.S. is going to have a smaller growth and smaller inflation. So the dollar is going to be always a preferred currency. People are still going to pay in premium. So inflation rate is going to determine the currency's inflationary rate. If US is going to go 2%, so the pressure is going to be lower on the dollar than the Indian rupee. But having said all of that, given the headwind to talk about the currency, if you make a purchase at 3 times earnings, do you really care the currency depreciates at 2% or 3%? You're getting 35% yield on a year today. And there's only one way to go. The room rates I stayed in one of the rooms, by the way. And the room rate is like $80. Which 5-star hotel in US almost any town. You can stay a night for $75.
Now it's 2-on-1.
This is a 5-star hotel. I'm an Indian. I have a non-resident Indian account. I can participate. If you can set up too. A non-Indian also can set up, but it's a tedious way to do it. As an individual, they rarely do it because it's just not worth it. It depends on how much time and money you can allocate, and then the hindrance that you have to go through. It's not doable. That's why if anybody wants to do it, they go through an entity like an investment partnership. So the manager takes care of all of that, and you just write the check to the manager. And you're owning the pro rate of the management business anyway.
What's the capital gains tax in India now?
Long-term capital gains are 15, short-term capital gains are 19.
Is that you pay Indian taxes then in Dutch or US taxes?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why it's US taxes.
You have to pay it one, and you say, I paid Indian taxes, you get it back. Well, 2 years ago, there were no capital gain taxes in India. Long-term capital gains taxes, zero. I was operating that. Zero. I paid no taxes. No, it was just like that. There was no long-term capital gain taxes just to attract capital from the public market. Short-term capital gain taxes were 10%. Actually, I paid in some years. And last year, a year before, they changed the policy. A lot more people made money on it, and then they were like, government see a large revenue base coming from it, so they changed the short-term taxes and the long-term capital gain taxes. And that's one of the reasons the smaller and mid-cap companies, values got decimated, because people are like, even if I make money, I have to give the money back to the government, because they never operated in that opportunity. I'm like, oh yeah, if you pay capital gain taxes, you still need to pay taxes.
This is, I want to know about it, why it's, when I read the papers, you said a lot of corruption. So do you think the corruption issue are getting better and better and resolved in the future? That's the first point. Second is I read the paper last week. So there look like there is a Pakistan and India might have a war with the Kashmir.
Correct.
I don't know the guy, the prime minister of Pakistan, threat India in the UN or not. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. Even if it's happened, that's not going to affect India. Even if the war does happen, it's not going to affect the whole India. It could affect the northern part of India, which could go to Kashmir. To give you that, the war is already going on for the last 50 years. Just to give you an idea. Talk about war. You go to Kashmir in the last 50 years, there's always a war. It's just never on paper. There was always a war. There is a terrorist group, some people, Indian people say those are Pakistanis, and they get confronted with the Indian army all the time. Even last year, a year before, a bunch of Indian soldiers died, and then they went and killed the Pakistani soldiers and terrorists. There is a war last 50 years. But maybe last week newspaper probably alluded to the recent development. Kashmir was actually not a state fully controlled by India as a country. It was like a special provision, like in a region. So after the massacre happened the last 6 months or so, India, current Modi after the win, he went ahead and canceled that agreement they made 50 years ago. This is not an independent entity. This is equivalent to 26 other states in India. That is the problem we're talking about. It used to be an independent entity which is pseudo-controlled by India. Now it's entirely controlled by India. That's probably the reason people are talking about it. How India makes like radical changes and we're going to go into war. And the answer would be you've been in the war for a long time. First. Second, when you answer the
corruption.
Corruption.
Although the democratic system, there is another side. The U.S. democracy, we have less corruption. Singapore, clean cut, right?
Clean up, yeah. But it's all relative, right? You said it yourself, like Singapore. Isaac is from Singapore, actually. So he's been here 10 years. He lived in Singapore for 25 years, maybe a year or two in China. So he can probably talk more about Singapore being great or just a little bit better, any of that. But yeah, it's all relative. Is India going to be going towards that direction? Yes. But how fast?
But Indian corruption is a double window system, so no need to afraid of. Money goes and comes back. So
well, yeah, that's
it's not
one
like
of the disadvantages or the discouraging news is
yeah.
it's not going to get anytime soon, anytime greatly better. It's going to be a life. It's going
Right.
to be a way of life in India, and you're going to have to be open.
If you read the accounting from the Chinese company,
Yeah.
I don't trust it. I told you, even people who make the company tell me, don't trust the Chinese company.
Right.
So it's very hard to invest in Chinese company other than Alibaba, Baidu, or
So you
Tencent.
understand their accounting?
No, I don't. But I thought so. The Indians have a system to guarantee the integrity of the company, so we make sure the financial number you put it here is trustworthy.
Well, at least the companies
If
that
you
I
doctor the company, doesn't matter how smart you are, the number will be wrong here.
there are few ways you can safeguard. Again, I'm not saying a blanket approach to look at like 5,000 companies in India, which company is going to be corrupt versus non-corrupt. I'm looking at certain few companies and I'm safeguarding against potential misstatements or corruption in those accounting treatments, right? The simpler the business, the easier to verify that.
Yeah.
Smaller the business, easier to verify that. The complex the business, so you can focus on only smaller and simpler businesses. That's one way. And the second way is more tedious way to do it is basically try to check everything about everything. Who's the auditor? Has the auditor ever been signed off on any kind of corruption in the last 20 years? There are only 4 or 5 big auditing firms that are auditing in India too. So maybe you can eliminate any guy who audited a company and reported misstatements over time. Who else that guy lied to? Who else, what other companies he lied to and he encouraged that lie, right? You can eliminate that kind of thing. And then the management's track record is you need to know more. I mean, the way they communicate to the shareholders, I mean, if anybody writes a shareholder letter without saying mumbo jumbo, India grew at like 8% a year, India is going to grow to $5 trillion economy, and then they never talk about a business themselves. All I want is like, I want to hear what Gujarat hotels made last year, how many customers, what is the occupancy rate. If anybody talks like that, they have a less intention to lie about.
I think he also focuses on a lot of companies with no debt, and if you're going to steal money, you're going to steal
It's
your own
usually
money.
the corruption goes on where the heavy businesses and lots of debt, and that's where they shuffle the lots of debt around. Very simpler, cleaner companies, they don't have to do anything. There was a one company like that, debt-free company, at least it was stated, 10 years ago. It was announced as a fraud, which was a huge corruption in Indian corporate history. It was in 2008. The company name is Satyam Computers.
Well, I don't think of the Indian well. American Canada, there's a lot of corruption, a lot of companies, doctor,
Oh, yeah.
the government is bankrupted.
Yeah.
We have a
It's a universal
president
problem.
who just universally said, I'm thinking about not letting Americans trade for Chinese companies, trade Chinese companies. Right? Very arbitrary.
But Charlie Munger says it otherwise. Charlie Munger is, let's say, the smartest guy. He says larger Chinese companies are a far better investment than larger US based companies. I mean, you take it as a grain of salt, but I put some emphasis on that kind of person's time. But again, you come from China. I'm sure you have the nerves of like how the culture is and all of that.
I don't trust the system. I can tell you that.
But you can invest. You said you yourself invest in Alibaba or other things.
No, I didn't. No. I just
Yes.
I should have, but didn't.
So question for you.
Yes.
I'm very convinced personally that I think you're able to find very specific, attractive opportunities in India. How do you see, I think it's also a matter of focus, right? That we have kind of your thesis, your global thesis, or mostly in the US. Are these all net new opportunities for you, or do you think over time you find a way it's going to be mostly focused on the region, on this overall story?
Unless there is a need from our clients. My job is to find best opportunities available wherever, right? There are times we may find opportunities in India, like today, and if we can take advantage of it, we will do it. At some present point, we don't have the setup to do it because there is not enough large audience investor interest in it. We may do it in 3 months from now or a year from now, right? But that doesn't preclude me from investing elsewhere. For a year, 2, 3, 5 years from now, there is no Indian opportunities available. We don't have a mandate of investing in India. The money can be going back to UK, money can be in the US, money can be in Mexico, money can be in Brazil, wherever. And as long as I understand the opportunity set, and as long as I think I'm safe in those investments, and as long as we make good enough returns looking forward and backwards. That answers the question.
Yeah, so you're saying if you could do it, you would do it now.
If I could do it, I would do it. If I could do it, I would go ahead and buy 10% of the company. No doubt. Without no doubts. But that's the general the gist of it. But again, it comes down to what my clients want and what they're accustomed to, what their goals are, and all of that. And primarily, I would say large part of my clients, they just prefer to be like global portfolios because somehow they feel comfortable in that kind of situation. And very few people have asked me to set up Indian specific fund.
It's a smaller company. Is there larger Indian companies like the biggest, like top 30 companies? Are they in the market price efficiently priced relative to their value, or also is it discounted?
Very expensive.
Huh?
Bharat Infratel is one of the anomalies, but usually the larger, like top 30 companies in India, they're trading for 35 times earnings today.
35?
Yeah. So because if anybody who wants to participate in India, they're going to go there. The larger companies.
It's called Nifty 50. It's a big index.
It's like a Nifty 50 type.
They have 50
situation.
companies. So people put money there with 8% return, something like that.
For an example, a company like Britannia, they're one of the largest cookie confectionery makers. They sell the biscuits packets for less than 15 cents or 20 cents a packet, right? So they're everywhere. I mean, you cannot miss their product. You go to a local convenience store, they have dozens of brands from them. That company is trading for 60 times earnings. 60. That's the most notorious consumer-based company in India. That's confectionery baby. But if you really want to participate in that company, there is a holding company who controls that company that's actually selling for 10 times earnings on a look-through basis. But I'm not going to tell you that. It's not that hard to figure out.